Recording in progress. Got it.
Got it.
Okay.
So, yeah, hello to everybody. And this is Aiga, Udre from Latvian Psychodrama Institute, uh, Moreno Institute. And well, this is the video for the professional association for psychodrama and sociometry in Latvia. And we are making these talks with psychodramatists in Latvia and all around the world. And today we have somebody not from Latvia, but from Norway, from Oslo, and it's star Eduardo Verdu. Yeah.
A fallen star. No.
Well, you're a psychodramatist, and yeah, I'm in an interviewer role today, and Eduardo, you will be in this star role that will tell us.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, introduce yourself, Eduardo.
Well, I am a 55-year-old man living in Oslo. I am the result of southern Spain and Norway. So this is what it looks like. Southern and Northern European. Cost me thousands of euros in therapy. I don't know if it can help, but but this is me. Yeah, and I am the president of the Norwegian Moreno House, and have been having Europe as my state of work until the pandemic came, and also now with the war going on, it has reduced a lot. Thank God, I would say, because it was kind of crazy at points. I had like 100 flights a year, and it was a little too much. At the most, I had that, and it was crazy. I didn't even know what city I woke up in sometimes, and so. Yeah, I am a man that really, well, whether believe it or not, I'm quite shy. Hard for people to believe, since I'm extremely extrovert. I explode all the scales in any test I take about extrovert and introvert, but still I'm quite shy sometimes. And but I do love to meet people, though I unfortunately can get easily bored sometimes if we if it's like what to say without sounding so arrogant, because that is a pitfall I have. If it's like talking nonsense. I mean, I can chit chat, I can small talk, but talk without meaning, without any, yeah, then I get easily bored. And yeah, I think that's basically me. I mean, I like to question things. I like to explore things a lot. I like to reflect and question, and which also brings me a lot of joy, but also a lot of challenges and trouble sometimes. I think that's me, yeah, more or less.
Okay, thank you. I hope this won't be a boring interview for you.
You're never boring, Aiga. Don't worry.
Thank you. I will try. Well, because it can get boring sometimes, but psychodrama is very deep, right? So,
Yeah, well, if it becomes boring, it's not your fault. I guess it's our fault. So, because it cannot be boring just because of you, and
okay. So let's not make it
the
boring.
viewers will decide if this is boring or not. I mean, we can still think it's wonderful.
Mhm. Thank you. So, and how long have you been a psychodramatist?
1990, 31 years.
Okay, that's a lot.
Started in 1992. Yeah.
In 1992. Okay.
Mhm.
And how did it started? What was your first encounter with psychodrama?
Um, it started, I don't know if the story is so glamorous how it started, but it started with I met my husband 32 years ago, 30, yeah. And after half a year, he told me either you go to therapy or I go. I leave you.
Okay.
And at that point, well, he's older than me. He'd been through therapy for many years, and I was a very angry young man. I was only 22, 23. Yeah. And well, at that point, I was working in the theater as an actor, and he knew about psychodrama. He knew Eva Røine, the one that brought psychodrama to Norway. So he introduced me to her, or to psychodrama, and that is how I came into psychodrama. I came and I stayed. I
Yeah.
remember I was called Mission Impossible at that time, but I didn't give up, and they didn't give up on me, which was a really beautiful thing, which I'm very grateful for, because without psychodrama, I don't know where I would have been, really. And so, yeah, that's my first encounter with psychodrama. My husband told me he would leave me, but anyway, and we're still together, so probably it helped.
Yeah, it looks like.
Hmm.
Also, well, you not just entered psychodrama, you are a psychodrama tap, I think, right now.
I'm a TEP supervisor, and I'm also a clinical family therapist. But psychodrama is basically what I do. Yeah, and I train people all over Europe. I have groups all over Europe, supervise. I work a lot in all kind of, not only in therapy, also in business. That's where I get the money, and then I can do whatever I want, which I really love, which is psychodrama and the therapeutic work.
Hmm. Okay, so why did you stay in psychodrama? What's the thing for you in psychodrama? What's the best thing?
I think the reason I stayed is because if I think back now, I think at that point in my life, it stretched my perception of what life could be a lot. Uh, it brought somehow life back to me from being a very rigid. Though I was an actor, and working as an actor, I was still kind of, I would say, rigid in my life. Without acting, without the theater, I would probably not have survived, because that's where I got the chance to express myself. But psychodrama, at one point, I left the theater and stayed with psychodrama because it was, it's not like psychodrama is not like something you repeat 80 performances after each other every night or whatever. It's something happening in the here and now, full of surprises. And also, I think the joy I felt about feeling seen, feeling accepted, not judged. Um, it really expanded my view on life and my role repertoire, and gave me so many possibilities. I mean, endless possibilities at that time, at least. Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
it makes sense.
Oh,
It's kind of for me too. It what's psychodrama bringing for me
yeah,
is feeling that there is no problems that you are stuck in. You can, you have possibilities always in life.
yeah, yeah. And it's not always nice to be confronted with the possibilities, because it makes you aware of responsibility, and and also shows you maybe the pain of the wounds you have lived with, and maybe even acted upon, because it's safe, you know what it is like, and to change to something you don't know what it is, it's challenging. But I was unfortunately lucky, especially with Eva Røine, who really never gave up on me, and this helped me really to see. psychodrama through her, to see or to somehow help me bring back meaning to life, create meaning, because life in itself has no meaning at all. I mean, for me at least, life has no meaning at all. Meaning is something we have to create every day, and yeah. So I moved from behavior, repeating myself every day who I was. I mean, this angry, artistic, suffering actor in his 20s and drinking bourbon and listening to Billie Holiday, to action, where I act accordingly to what happens in life. Tried to act adequately, of course, but of course the only way, or the hard way, was the failures, of course. I mean, learning how to walk again, or learning how to fly again. I mean, like Moreno says, with broken wings, fallen angels with broken wings, try to learn how to fly again. So, but at least it's action. It's something that I explore, that can expand my perception of life, people, and see myself in a different light. I mean, not as a hopeless, useless young man that didn't felt loved, or didn't felt I belonged. I mean, how to belong was a big question to me, where to belong and how to belong. And psychodrama somehow gave me that feeling of the collective, of the universe, of the collective, how do you say, the collective way, how do you say, how to belong, what brings us together, what holds us together, um, what's the understanding of how we need each other in order to survive, for humanity to survive. Understanding that I can only exist through others, that I can only see myself or understand myself totally through others, and I can only so I belong to the pool of humanity. I belong to the group of humanity. Well, and whatever else that exists, which no, maybe I hope that gave some sense.
Yeah, it totally is giving a sense. And what is, yeah, you can said some, but what is the dislikes of psychodrama? What is the difficult part in psychodrama? How do you think?
Well, this is a really good question, and I mean, psychodrama in itself is really easy. You learn the techniques, and it's like playing the piano, the scale, which becomes quite boring. It doesn't really, I mean, bring something. So, in order for me, in order to have psychodrama as something that really can change people, or myself, society, we need to understand the philosophy. We need to understand our roots. We need to understand the the importance of relations, and we need to enter psychodrama with humble humbleness, and explore the roles we have. So what I really dislike about psychodrama is when psychodrama is used um, just to play roles without even having a content, in the sense that I just escape. I mean, psychodrama is very seductive. So it's very people, like a lot of people that likes to act, they go to psychodrama because they can just play roles. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they go into the core of the roles and understanding and perception of the roles. And I don't expect the protagonists to understand the philosophy, but the directors to understand the philosophy. So when people just play, I think it's psychodrama at its worst. I, for instance, never allow people to do role reverse, with few exceptions, of course, if they cannot be in an encounter, because the encounter is first. Then comes sociometry, psychodrama. So I'm really allergic when psychodrama is used as a way just to escape by having a catharsis based on behavior. Not that you cannot play and not that you cannot role rehearse, of course, but if that is the only thing you do. And I love what Stanislavski says when he says that learn to love the roles in yourself, not yourself in the role. So it's like an emotional masturbation.
Yeah.
That's when I really dislike psychodrama. So it's not about the concept of psychodrama itself, it's how it's used.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you a lot. This is for some people that are in theater too, because this masturbation with the roles, is
Yeah,
is in a theater a really big problem too. So
yeah,
it's something.
definitely. And sometimes maybe it's needed, but the director needs to be very aware of if it's happening, why it's happening, and then very softly with kindness, firm kindness, then bring it back to life, not to the theater, because it's not. It's psychodrama for me is not theater. It's we're not playing out a script that is written because we write the script while we are on stage.
Yeah.
So it's a way of like rehearsing life in action in the present moment. Not that you get the script and here you have the lines and you played it out.
Yeah, and you have some, well, some ending that you have to get to. No, you don't know the ending.
Yeah. On the other hand, I have to say, without having the theater where I really could express myself, I don't know if I would have been here today before I met my husband, before I met psychodrama, because it was the only way to express myself was to be on stage. Um, so of course I then can question myself if I was a good actor or not. Um, I don't think I was very bad, but I think also it was like a emergency remedy
Yeah.
for me to survive. Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. Well, my hobby is theater, so I think for a lot of people it is like this.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's one thing if you are a professional actor, but if you are hobby like, it, it is the thing you like in theater that you
Mhm.
just go and do things and play roles, and
Yeah.
that's what brings the psychodrama too.
Yeah, and it's like if you're having, I mean, you can see actors that are technically brilliant,
Yeah.
but they seem to be so bored of life when playing the roles, or they just play lean on techniques, and it's like the soul is missing.
Mm. Yeah.
So it becomes like a robotism
Yes.
or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's what I think differs a lot good actors from bad actors. I don't want to say good or bad protagonists because that doesn't really exist, the concept, but
That's
the
on
awareness of
yeah,
the directors.
therapy.
Mm.
You know.
Excuse me, I didn't hear. What did you say?
Yeah, I said, well, protagonist is a one thing, but this is on the producer, on therapist to make the soul, to open up the soul on
Yeah.
stage.
So that's what it is like when people use psychodrama without understanding the philosophy behind, which takes years for me at least. Maybe I'm slow and stupid, but it takes years, and I discover new things all the time. So,
And that's good because you're learning still.
I mean, I hope, yeah, I hope, I hope.
Yeah. So, yeah, it takes years, you say, but maybe we can just touch it a little the philosophy, the most important that psychodramatist needs to understand. Can we just say it in a basic, yeah?
Well, I think one of the most complicated and difficult concepts of the philosophy is tele and the Godhead. The encounter is basically more easy to understand theoretically, but first of all, understanding the concepts, but also understanding how they are interconnected, and that one cannot really live without the other. And the concept of tele is, in my opinion, has been maybe now I'm swearing and people all over Europe will kill me, but I am also a sinner, so it's okay, because I've also been training people a lot, and is to how we train our students to understand tele, what it really is. I think we have failed, not totally, because we have kind. I mean, how do you explain tele in the sense that you don't only reproduce the words when you teach, but you can also give people the experience of tele. A lot of people think they experience tele when we're maybe talking about empathy, because tele is like for me it comes really difficult concepts in like God, and the Moreno concept of God as creativity, but also spirituality comes in a lot. The understanding of us being cosmic beings, the ability to really see me through the eyes of you while I see myself. I mean, in order to get tele, you need an encounter. I mean, you can classify tele in like quasi-tele or near tele or blah, blah, blah. But the only really way to measure tele, as far as we know today, is through sociometry, a sociometric test. But to make people understand tele, they also need to understand the concept of encounter, which is 1 + 1 is 3, not 2. So we move away from the scientific mathematical understanding of 1 + 1 to something more, I could say, Morenian. For me, it's more spiritual, because 1 + 1 is 3 is, Moreno says that the true encounter is a reflection of a meeting with God. So it's you, it's me, and whatever is between you and me as the third entity, which is bigger than you and me, and this is the bigger than you and me. So sometimes it's not even possible for us to explain tele with words, but we can sense it. I think that it's bigger than, of course, I mean, people misunderstand tele a lot with empathy, with sympathy, even with compassion. I think compassion is or could be a result of tele, where we want to act, not behave, act adequately according to a telic experience. And of course, there are, I mean, I don't want to sound like black and white, because we could have an experience of tele, but what is full tele? I don't think that's possible for humans to even understand what full tele is, because then we might be, maybe we're enlightened, and the moment we're enlightened, it's time to die, or I mean, it won't even happen. Many people think they're enlightened, but they're not. Or And tele is really easy to misunderstand with projection. And what was the question?
The question was, well, not so much about the tele, but about the all philosophy. But as you said, the tele is the basic, you need to understand. But
Well,
we maybe tele, the hard part of tele is that it's not understanding in our head, It's not about head, it's
yeah,
about feeling.
but I think in order to understand tele, you have to look to you have to understand the interconnectedness it has to the encounter and to the Godhead.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Moreno talked about us being gods. We're not gods at all.
Yeah, we're not.
On the seventh day, he said that God looked down on earth and said, "This is quite boring. I just met a lot of people. They're all robots." So
Yeah.
he put a drop of spontaneity in each of one of us, the free will, his free will, which is activated through the encounter. And to understand, have a full encounter, that's when tele is created, which creates something bigger than you and me, which is the way to co-create. Because a lot of what's happening in the world, at least in Norway, is that we think that compromises is good. I think it's bullshit. I think compromises is bad most of the time. Sometimes we have to, of
Yeah.
course, but it's really bad because it's just like uh, we don't use your potential or understanding another. We don't use mine. We just take a little of you and a little of me, and we put it together, and we say compromise. So 1+1 is 2 if we're lucky, or 1+1 could be 1.5 or less.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Norwegian society is built on compromises. Is because people don't listen.
Yeah.
The world has forgotten to listen, which is a part of tale, of course, too. To listen not only to words, but to the body and silence, which is an art. So instead of listening, we hear.
Mm.
And while we hear, we're just preparing ourselves how to answer in order to convince you that I'm right or my idea is the best or whatever.
Yeah.
Listening is an art, and listening to silence, listening to the words between the words, listening to the space between you and me, where God takes place. And people say a lot, follow your protagonist, just listen to your protagonist and follow your protagonist. Yes, fine, but not always. No, not always, because it's my responsibility as a director that the protagonist doesn't hurt him or herself, that the protagonist doesn't enter the world of the unknown without protection.
Yeah.
And that the protagonist might act out um, bad in the sense, act of bad in the sense of hurting himself and others around. I don't allow protagonists to do whatever they want on stage. No way.
Yeah.
If they want to kill themselves or someone else, they have to go to another director. For instance, I mean, I don't allow killings on stage. For instance,
Mm.
That is kind of producing constipated tele or negative tele or disrupt pathological tele. It's not tele anymore.
Mhm.
I can allow people to um, kill or bury parts
Yeah.
of a person or so I think the pitfall, because when you say the importance of philosophy, the importance of philosophy brings me the knowledge on how to use the techniques in an adequate, respectful, and profoundly constructive way.
Mm.
And it is not always constructive to let the protagonist do whatever she or he wants and just follow
Mm.
and just stay there, follow, and say role reverse or whatever once in a while.
Yeah.
That is could be extremely damaging and dangerous. I think. Yeah,
Yeah, and well, instead you can just question the choices of protagonists.
absolutely. And I think we should.
Yeah.
But I love the English word that doesn't exist, carefrontation instead of confrontation. So carefrontation. So in a loving way, it could still be. I mean, you hold and you push and you question. You just don't just confront and let them fall down and
Yeah.
yell at them or whatever, or uh, because uh, confrontation very often brings in judgment.
Mm.
Um, and of course, there are things, a lot of things that it's repulsive after so many years what I've seen on stage. I mean, people committing sexual abuse or abusing others and stuff like that. Of course, I don't agree with that. Of course, I don't understand. I don't understand it. What is one thing? I cannot accept it,
Mm.
but I cannot help people, or I cannot because psychodrama is not moralistic.
Mm.
It's not immoral. It's amoral.
I know
Yeah,
some people judge me for this word, you know.
yeah, because maybe they think that, well, you don't want to take standpoint and you're a coward or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I can very, very well, maybe, but to my understanding, it's not about that. It's about uh, looking behind our actions and see the core of the people that connects us together
Mm.
into as cosmic beings, I think. So you need to understand the philosophy in order to understand this, and not only the techniques. The techniques, you can read the book. It
Yeah.
doesn't make you a good psychodramatist. You can read books to become a psychologist. It doesn't make you a good psychologist. Or a good doctor. I mean, the worst thing I know is doctors that doesn't even look at me.
Mm.
That doesn't happen anymore, but it used to happen 20 years ago or something, and I would just leave. I mean, I'm not a piece of meat. You have to talk to me, or so it's easy to hide behind the techniques and don't take the responsibility you need to take as a director if you don't understand the philosophy. The philosophy is what brings life, what brings the magic, the possibility of magic into psychodrama.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I answered the question. I mean, because when we start with this question, I go all over.
Because it's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah, but the most important is like to understand the triadic system of Moreno, which is Taylor, Encounter, and Godhead. To understand those three and how they are interconnected and dependent on each other. You cannot separate them from each other. Um, and one of the biggest challenges for us as trainers is to train the our students how to understand tele on a theoretical level, but also how to explore it themselves, how to recognize it, and how eventually, when they study further on, how to train other people in understanding tele.
Mm.
Because tele is also what can connect us, everybody together into what can save humanity to use big words uh, in the future. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So about the future, h- what do you see? How psychodrama had changed, or what is with the psychodrama in 20 years? After 20 years, so it's 2043.
Ah,
Yeah. What's
okay.
with the psychodrama?
Okay, because first I thought you were asking me what have changed the last 20 years, and I think a lot has changed.
This is a good question too.
Yeah, because if we start 20, 30, 40 years ago, at least in some countries, well, 40 years ago, I wasn't teaching in other countries, but 25 years ago, I think I started to train other people in other countries and also in Norway. And I saw that we have moved away a lot from how psychodrama used to be done those days, because people were like, if it wasn't like 4 killings and a lot of blood and yelling and screaming and drama, it wasn't really a psychodrama. Like a revolver drama, you know. While my experiences and how I see we teach people now, because acting just out doesn't change anything necessarily. If it doesn't, the change has to come from within. And some of the most beautiful, powerful, magical, extraordinary dramas I've witnessed has been very silent or very subtle. It's like it's so silent that you can hear silence talk and experience the changes happening with the protagonist, director, the group members. And it's not about necessarily just pouring out all your shit on stage and expecting everybody to accept it, or yeah, sometimes you need to scream and to. I'm not saying that, but it's changed a lot to understand that psychodrama is not necessarily about huge movements and noise. The theater is just not about a lot of action with no direction adequacy. I mean, so, and how will it look in 20 years from now? I think we're standing at the crossroad now, a challenge. In good and bad, because a lot of countries now are questioning the length of the trainings. And what I see is that many countries want to shorten down the trainings. That's not necessarily bad. It just depends how it's done and how we will teach psychodrama in the future. Because I think all of us has learned, at least I don't train people like I did 25 years ago. I can even blush sometimes when I think about what I did 25 years ago. But so we learned, and the crossroad is: will we train psychodrama to, for instance, in some countries, if you are professionals like a psychiatrist, doctor, or a psychologist, you don't really. People want short trainings to learn the techniques. Having psychological knowledge is good, but it's not enough to be a good psychodramatist. Again, you need to experience it. You need to understand the philosophy and the depths and how it opens the doors to the worlds of the known and the unknown, where everything lies, where every question that has never been asked and has been asked lies, and also the answers. And that's not, and that's a huge responsibility. So we have those. Either will we teach techniques and methodology, or we will also dare to talk about philosophy, dare to talk about God. And God for me is not the Christian God, or is a Muslim God, or whatever. God is the result of the encounter, the co-creation, when you and I have an encounter, something bigger than us, where we all belong. The sum of all of us, being pure, not so fucked up as we are in this world, would probably be what I will call God. I don't know what that just came to me right now. So we have. So what are we going to do? And that will change psychodrama a lot. Because even people say you have to be careful when you use psychodrama in business. I use psychodrama a lot in business, working with stockbrokers or finance people or whatever, executives. And of course, you don't bring in the therapeutic aspect there, even though everything could have a therapeutic effect without being therapy itself, as a result of coming together. So, but even there, it's even more important to understand the philosophy of psychodrama, because we also then need to know how to guide ourselves and the groups working in business in a very different way than we do when we're doing therapy. So my hopes, I mean, Moreno said that psychodrama was for the 21st century.
Yeah.
So now we're 23 years into the 21st century. I see in many countries psychodrama is flourishing. In a lot of countries, it's almost dead or dying or surviving, trying to survive. The whys, I will not come into that now, but I have a lot of thoughts about it, and it will change. I mean, it changes all the time. But I think in all that psychodrama will spread much more, and I hope and pray that it will be in a very profound way connected to the philosophy of Moreno, because otherwise it's just like a game somehow.
Yeah.
Where you could be lucky and get good results, or you could be like having nothing or even harm people. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, this is, with the philosophy, psychodramatists, I feel, are those people that are bringing this the Godhead in population, for other people, and
Yeah.
showing this that we actually can. We just need to connect, need to have this very good feeling to one another, and need to have tele, so we can just be and be better than we were, than the world were, because world
And
is
you're
changing right now too. It's a lot,
absolutely, and you're putting your finger on something that is maybe the most difficult in psychodrama or in the world or in life in general: simplicity.
Yeah.
Simplicity is an art. I mean, it's just connect. But how, when we are taught from the day we come to Earth that we're so special, we're the only one in this Earth that can do this and think about yourself. And I mean, we live in a very egoistic, individual focused society. We need to come back to the group to understand the group. So simplicity is really an art. If we manage that, to teach people how to connect,
Yeah.
to role reverse, I think we have achieved a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you're starting a group, it's always like, everyone is there, and well, me like a producer too, and everybody is thinking about themselves. What am I doing? How do I look? How do
Yeah.
I look here?
Yeah. Do I have a smart face now, or do I look like a bitch or
Yes.
bored or stupid or?
Yeah, and what will they think about me? And also, in meantime, nobody is thinking about nobody. It's just thinking about themselves. And how to make this group and this feeling that you can be just a fool or looking whatever. We are just people, everybody. Or something.
Yeah, I think a lot of the judgment, a lot of the way we're thinking, our fears of how we're looked upon, is very much connected to the roles and expectancies of the roles. Uh, and if we manage in psychodrama groups to really connect to each other, the sense that create a sense of belonging, acceptance, love, which doesn't mean just accept everything in life. I mean, but it's about building trust, and in order to build trust, I need to know more about you. I don't need to agree about politics, religion, sexual orientation, anything, but then at least I know who you are, which makes me more calm, and most of all, don't project.
Yeah.
And some of the things which really astonishes me, and I teach a lot of people, basically, both in therapy but also in business. In business, is even more fun because business is about money, and the amount of money that is lost in companies because of misunderstanding and communication is huge. In Germany, a few years ago, it was about 102 billion euros that they thought was lost because people misunderstood each other. That's half of a state budget in Norway. And the easiest thing is to ask, what did you understand? Or how do you understand? Or instead of just thinking that everybody understands what I'm saying, because about 40% of what I say goes into your head and the rest is just like the variations.
Yeah.
And so simplicity.
Yes, it is.
But then again, the question, putting questions or asking questions, it creates the fear of being stupid.
Yes.
And we need to accept that we are stupid sometimes.
Yeah, we're not God. We are
No,
not, you know.
no. Um, and there's a lot to learn in stupidity.
Hmm.
But stupidity that is not taking responsibility for, it's very dangerous, I think. It's like ignorance or
Yeah.
so. I mean, this is, I mean, maybe a little shallow, but I think really that fear created by the expectancy life puts on us, society puts on us, is really what destroys our challenges, um, our ability for simplicity. Because I mean, it's really easy. Sometimes people hire me to do jobs that I think is just like, and then I become arrogant. They say, but how fucking stupid can you get? Excuse my French. Um, it's just asking. And then I need to understand, but how are they going to ask if they don't know how to do it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm.
And I think, I mean, for me at least, psychodrama brought me the understanding of of that I'm still not that I'm not worthless because I don't know, because I don't have all the answers, because I don't know how to do things, because shame
Mm.
and guilt and shame is like I'm wrong, guilt is I do wrong, and so many of us walks around this earth feeling I am wrong and acting out in life uh, through being wrong or putting on roles that hides, but the core is still I'm wrong.
Yes.
So, and we need to teach people reveal to reveal themselves and feel the power of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was good. Well, yeah, you need to accept that you can be wrong. It's nothing wrong with being wrong. You know, we
Oh,
fail. People fail. People are wrong.
and then comes step number two. Is it wrong or is it perspectives?
Yes, because what's right? You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are perspectives to everything.
Mm.
Um, one of the books that I had made the most impact on me long before I understood why,
Mm.
because I was too immature when I read the book, is called "It's a Pity She's a Whore"
Mhm.
by who wrote that book? By British guy John Ford. John Ford around 1630 something.
Yeah.
And the plot there is about an incestuous relationship between a brother and a sister.
Mm.
The shocking thing, especially in 1600, but also today,
Mm.
is that the writer doesn't condemn the act,
Mm.
doesn't say it's right or it's wrong. It's just like a power that exists and that takes place.
Yeah.
It's a fact. Just by condemning it and ban it, it won't disappear. It still lives there.
Mm.
And that made such an impact on me, not because I am the right or wrong, but because accepting that it exists.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not for incestuous relationships. Of course not. But people acting out incestuous relationships, don't they have the same rights as human beings to be helped if they want, or to open up a stage, create a stage for them to explore and understand what's going on? And so I can condemn the act, but not necessarily the people. Even though there are evil people in this world, we cannot just get like everybody. Well, I think everybody is born good, or even though I've seen babies from hell before, but that's another thing. So, but I think it's and that's it made such an impact on me. Written in 1630 something, and it's just say it happens. It's here. Then, wrong or right, whatever, it's still a force staying within us. And all these forces that we don't talk about is what destroys us a lot, and what psychodrama really, really creates the possibility and stage to explore in very safe frames. But yeah.
Wow.
How did we end up here? What were we talking about?
Yes, but this is the best thing, that we are just going somewhere, but this is important, you know. It
Well,
is.
it's important because if we're all connected to psychodrama, I think the beauty about psychodrama is that it really gives us all. I mean, psychodrama is amoral, not immoral, and it creates a stage where we can create a stage that gives us the possibility to really explore without being judged, even though we judge all the time. But the frame of psychodrama, the philosophy, the understanding,
Yeah.
and understand our actions ourselves, you know.
Because that's important thing. Because in life we are doing a lot of things and don't understand what we are doing. We are just robots, you know, doing something.
I think not only in Latvia, in Norway, all over, we're just acting. And I think one of the biggest diseases of the Western world, at least, which I know the best, I'm not so, even though if I study Buddhism, I'm not so much into the Eastern, well, a little, but it's uh, through uh, through chasing our rights, because we were so occupied with rights and our freedom. I mean, which is kind of crap. We think we're so free, and of course we're not. I mean, yes, I live in a free country. I'm very fortunate. I live in a very free country. I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I just have to take responsibilities if I hurt people, blah, blah, blah. But it's about um, through what we think we're entitled to, forgetting the relation and the other, which we are dependent on in order to survive, we damage ourselves. So that's the disease. I think number one is that we go around thinking we are really working on our careers and expanding as human beings and reaching new goals, and we forget that we are, or we don't even see that we're actually damaging ourselves through restricting ourselves from our true nature, from from being in connection, from being in relation, from understanding that the world is not you or me, and I have responsibility for me and you for you. No way. We have a co-responsibility. I'm also responsible for you, without taking away your responsibility, of course. But it's and that's 1 + 1 is 3. So we're acting out from 1 + 1 is maybe 1, or what's in it for me?
Yes.
That's very Western question. for me too. I mean,
Yeah, but you know, this what's in it for me. For me, sometimes it's just you know, joy or something that I see. Well, I can do this. Why not? Yeah, and
yeah.
this, well, I think good thing that is in it because
Well, I
there's
think one of the
always.
reasons that the Western world is somehow so depressed, because I mean, it's a fact that we are eating more antidepressants, antipsychotics, I mean, psychopharmaca,
Yes,
so much more every year now than we've done before,
yes,
is because we lost the ability to feel joy.
mm.
We
Yeah,
can feel happiness, moments of happiness, but we don't know anymore how to feel joy because we don't know how to relate. And we know, and that's what psychodrama also brought a lot to my life was joy. With joy, the price of joy is pain a lot.
yeah,
Love is beautiful, but it's the worst. It's terrible. I really sometimes hate love, even though I love it, because the price is pain.
yes,
So, with joy, if we don't know how to connect to people, if we don't know how to connect to ourselves and people,
yeah,
how the hell are we going to experience joy?
yeah,
Because for me, joy is something bigger. It's something that comes out of something bigger than you and me.
mm.
Again, the result, the
Yes,
three. So, I mean, of course, you can, how do you find joy? But this is how I look at it, which is, I mean, joy, the surplus value of the encounter can bring joy.
yeah,
And many people think they experience joy, and maybe they feel kind of joy if they buy a new Lamborghini or what they do. People do. I mean, because I mean, basically, a lot of joy to many people comes through money or sex or some kind of a drinking or I mean they like work all week and the Friday come and they're drunk Friday, Saturday and Sunday they're resting or to go I mean and they feel because they had such a great time they don't even remember what happened. Thank God it was fun. It's like and that also questions people who go to therapy because a lot of people get addicted to therapy too, which brings them joy,
mm.
catharsis.
Yes,
I remember once I had a group and a guy was walking around screaming in a warm up. Oh. And I went to him and asked, why are you screaming? I said, I don't know. Isn't that what we're supposed to do in order to get the feelings, emotions out? I mean, and a beautiful guy, nothing wrong with him, but just something about the misconceptions of life or we have lost. I'm not very religious, but
mm.
I am. I mean, I left the Catholic Church. I'm into Buddhism, but we somehow lost God.
Mm.
And psychodrama gives me the possibility to find him, find God, not him, her, God again,
Mm.
but as the creating force that create meanings in my life.
Mm.
But without you, there is no meaning. It can look like a meaning,
Mm.
but it's also like if I shoot up some heroin in my arm, it can give me the peace or whatever I'm looking for, the joy for I don't know how long it lasts, but the price afterwards is quite strong.
Yeah, and you want to feel this the same again.
Mhm.
You're not feeling it, you know, at some point.
Yeah, and I think to connect people is the beauty of psychodrama. I don't know in Latvia, but at least here in many countries and in Norway, like I think 40% of young people between 18 and 35 lives alone.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people in Latvia too, young people.
And so many people die alone.
Mm. I think in Latvia it could be the bigger number because you know, yeah.
Yeah, because and it's like every because I had the right to have my own apartment. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Uh, but why aren't you in a relationship? Well, maybe if you don't want it, it's fine. But a lot of people, most people want to, they just don't know how to do it anymore. And the pain of failure is too big.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of loneliness, which I think also psychodrama is a brilliant antidote against.
Yeah.
And the simplicity of life, of being humans, has somehow got twisted or perverted into a different direction,
Mm.
uh, because and that is when tele gets interrupted, pathological tele, when the devil comes in, the diabolic forces. The devil, as we know, is the most beautiful, most seductive of all of them, and it's full of them. I mean, it's like, come to me, I will show you how to be happy, I will show you how to succeed, I will show you how to earn a lot of money, and just blah blah blah, and travel, and you know, and those are diabolic forces sometimes, because it doesn't include the encounter, it doesn't include you, which gives a possibility for the third God, the surplus value. But of course, it can give me a lot of joy. I mean, of course, I prefer to be rich and depressed than poor and depressed.
Yeah. And you know, it's people's right to die alone. The question is, do you want to? You know, because I know there could be some people that want to, and
Absolutely.
and
Yes, it's not black or white, but we need to question
yeah,
uh, the the illness of loneliness that we experience so much in the Western world, probably a lot in Eastern world, parts of the world too now. And at least when I see my patients, and when I do groups, what really touches me the most, because of course it also has been my theme of my life, is the question of how to belong. And a lot of psychodramatists that I know have been asking themselves the same question for decades: how to belong, where do I belong?
mm, yeah,
And somehow psychodrama offers you a place to belong. But psychodrama, in the back side of the coin of psychodrama, is the seductive psychodrama, which makes addiction.
yeah. Well, yeah, you know, everyone has this white side and the black side,
Oh,
shadow
yeah.
side.
And then all the shadows in between.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But well, yeah, with with psychodrama and the loneliness, I think it's just this one thing you have to do, and you have to make yourself do, step forward, you know, enter the room, because sometimes that's the biggest fear, to start moving. I don't know why. It's about me too, about a lot of people. You are just in this box of yourself, you know,
Yeah,
work, family maybe, and you cannot move forward or go somewhere else, change
exactly.
something.
You
Ah,
need the group. You need the group in order to help to mobilize energy, because what you're saying now, Aiga, is like, um, I mean, we die so slowly that we think we're alive,
yes. Oh, exactly.
by not by being in our own box and thinking we are relating to the world.
Mm, yeah. Okay. On some other note, I
Hmm.
have these questions that, well, very psychodramatic. You can answer just in one word or one small sentence.
That's hard for a half Spanish Norwegian guy, but I will try.
But you
So,
have to try. So, the first question: what age would you give yourself? Well, if you didn't know how old you are, what age do you have right now?
right now,
Yeah.
uh, 41. But in general, I will say I have all ages, depending on who I'm meeting, where and when. Sometimes I'm a 3-year-old helpless child, and sometimes I feel very calm and present, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't say wise, but at least able to handle the situation.
Okay.
I'm
But it,
55, but I feel much younger.
okay. Thank you. And if you could change one thing in the world, what would it be? In one word or sentence, not more.
Teach people how to respect each other and understand the encounter so they can practice it.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, what have you really wanted to do but never did?
I never followed my dream of becoming a pianist. I was very talented, and unfortunately, I didn't have the support that I needed to do so. It was too hard. And I also regret I didn't go to Broadway. Uh, I was a very talented tap dancer in LA, and they wanted to send me to Broadway. I was too young and too fucked up. I mean, I was 19 years old, and I would not have survived New York, 19 years old, with that support that I didn't felt I had, except from the Italian mafia. But they were in LA, not in New York, the ones I knew. So yeah, Broadway and piano.
Okay. Thank you. Um, what are you most grateful for in life?
Uh, I'm really grateful for living in a very peaceful, beautiful country with a very caring society. I'm extremely fortunate, and of course, yeah, no, I think that I mean I'm really lucky. Yeah. Mm.
Okay. And what would you do differently if you knew that no one will judge you?
Probably reveal my shortcoming even more, uh, but also voicing my beliefs louder.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. What's your favorite movie?
Call me by your name.
And
And I have two. Call Me by Your Name. Oh, yeah, only one. And Rocky Horror Show.
oh, okay.
It's like,
There's a lot of dancing. And in 3 words, describe who you are.
hmm, I am energetic. Um, I am a very that that that's a strange simplicity and so hard question. I am dedicated, energetic. I'm very dedicated and restless. I'm like a high-speed cable. I remember some British uh, psychoanalyst called me like, "You're like a high-speed cable." It's kind of like without having ADHD, as far as I know. Mm.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the craziest thing you've done?
That I don't think you want to know, or maybe.
Okay.
Oh, hmm,
You cannot choose.
thing I've ever done. That is, let me think. Hmm. Well, I think it has to be. Uh, yeah, actually, yeah. When I was 17 years old, I took a year off from high school. I got my professor in high school to apply for me to enter University of Pau in southern France. I packed my bag. I took the train down to southern France. I didn't speak French at all, and I studied French. And there I met some Americans, and I stayed with the lesbian outside Las Vegas for some weeks, and drove without a driver's license Death Valley to San Jose. 17 years old, and she was by my side, of course. But leaving home, which seemed necessarily for me, and then I went to Copenhagen, 18, 19 years old, to Los Angeles. I think it's the craziest thing I ever done, because I was definitely not ready for I mean, I was too damaged and didn't have support enough. And the fact that I survived is amazing. Yeah. I think that, yeah. Mm.
Thank you. But, well, you made the movement, big movement, just.
I made a big movement, and as I said, if it was not for the Italian mafia that took me under the wings in LA, I wouldn't have survived.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds very dramatic, but they were nice people.
Yeah, I think you can write a book about it.
Well, they even made a false driver's license, because I was only 19 years old, and in California you need to be 21 years old to buy alcohol. So I got a new driver's license. That was nice, but
Okay.
uh,
Okay, so the last question. What 3 wishes would you ask to the genie if you had a lamp right now and there's a genie appears?
well, definitely I would ask for peace, of course. I would ask the genie to teach people respect and compassion.
So that was a second thing, or it's 2 and
Three,
2 and 3, respectively.
peace, respect, compassion.
Okay, thank you. And as we know in psychodrama, it happens here and now. So I hope Genie heard, took everything, and just moved. And it's happening.
Happening, and it is happening a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Is there something else you want to say? Well, for the Psychodrama Association in Latvia and all associations in psychodramatists in Latvia or in the world, some message.
I think what I would say is, don't get seduced by yourself in your roles, like I was referring to Stanislavski. Be open and honest. I think that is what, at least, or maybe because I was too stupid to even think, or don't think so long, that has brought me a lot of joy, a lot of very hard moments, but also a lot of joy working with people from all over Europe and giving me very profound and strong encounters with people from traumatized soldiers in Ukraine to stockbrokers, to prostitutes, to children. I think stay in the present moment and don't be smart. Yeah, don't be smart. I think at least I think one of my successes is that I can thank my father for fucking me up so badly sometimes that it never gave me, it never took away my humbleness, and it never gave me the chance to become cocky or try to be superstar or the best, or because then we've lost the meaning of psychodrama.
Thank you, Eduardo.
Thank you, Aiga.
Thank you a lot for this, really. Yeah, thanks.
Well, I hope it wasn't a waste of time. I hope it made some sense, and it will be useful for whoever.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.